Hey there, I'm Douglas Chandler,
I'm Britt Chandler.
and welcome to At the Bar with the Chandlers. You know, business is complicated, and your estate plan should really know that. I was thinking the other day about some clients who come in and they think that they want an estate plan, and their planning is just personal to them. And then we get into a planning session with them, and it's disclosed that they're either contemplating a business, starting a business, or they're already in a business, right? Maybe they have a partner, or maybe it's a solo gig, or they are getting close to retirement and they want to wind down their business.
And is that a part of their estate plan?
And well, it should be. It has to be. But in many, many cases, they don't realize that it should be, right? So we get to educate them on the interplay between owning a business and how that parlays into their estate plan. Yeah. So that their estate plan can have control over their business interests should something happen to them, their incapacity or their death, and so that their family's not left out in the cold. Right.
Oh yeah. Well, that reminds me that I had virtual nurse practitioner business
many years ago,
like almost 10 years ago, before COVID, and it was a online healthcare. I was an online healthcare provider for minor issues, nothing major. But I also had contract nurse practitioners around the country that were also under my name.
You were way ahead of your time.
So thank you.
Yeah.
But having done this, I had professional liability insurance for that. But then I realized after, doing this estate planning, I didn't have a succession plan. And my estate definitely didn't take into account the business.
Right.
And I wanted to expand. And so how that could have all compounded together. But, fate had another way of
fixing things.
That's around that time or shortly thereafter, Doug and I got reconnected. Our story we'll talk about later. But, I didn't have a succession plan. So I just closed my business, which in hindsight, I'm still kicking myself for just closing the business and not having that succession plan. So I wished I had somebody that I had talked to before I did that.
Yeah. So it really opens up a conversation with our clients and where we can help them, right, with business planning, succession planning for their business, and parlay that into their estate plan so that their family is taken care of when they can't take care of them anymore. Also brings up conversations about the form of entity. Are you a sole member LLC? Are you in a partnership? Do you have a minority interest? And so for those sort of situations, we really have to explore what your operating agreements say, what your partnership agreements say, so that we know how to structure a plan that is best for you and best protects you and your family.
So that's what makes it really different. Like a professional's estate plan looks fundamentally different from a standard consumer.
Correct. That's right. It does. It looks completely different because they have a vested interest in this other ongoing entity, right? Which is an income generating, revenue generating entity that they also have to protect. So we get into conversations about key man insurance. What happens if something happens to you and your partners? When one partner can't participate, a lot of times there's a capital gap there and they can't contribute to the business. So we need insurance to sometimes cover those gaps. Yeah. So lots of things to talk about and lots of things to consider. And it's not because clients are trying to hide things from us. It's not it at all. They just don't understand how they relate. And so when you go sit down with your lawyer, it encourages and emphasizes the need to have transparent conversations with absolute full disclosure about what you plan on doing and with your business, or what you don't plan on doing with your business.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Right. So, how does a business structure like, you have the LLC or a PC or a partnership.
Right.
What happens to that practice when the owner dies or becomes incapacitated?
We deal with this quite a bit, and in particular with clients, they always ask us, well, hey, Douglas, what if something happens to you, right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna handle our affairs for us? Who's gonna help us administer our trust, help us administer our estate? And the answer is quite simply, don't worry. We have other lawyers in our firm that can cover these issues for us if I can't. And we have a succession plan in place. We have a written succession plan for the firm in place where everyone knows what they need to do.
Right.
Now, a law firm or a medical practice is a little bit different because we have special licensing requirements that we have to follow. So we have to make sure that we have someone who can actually execute that succession plan, whether it be another lawyer or another doctor or nurse or whomever, a proper person to administer that succession plan. But it's a lot of fun, right? Things we don't want to think about, our demise, but things we must think about, have to think about.
So do you have the same conversation about succession plan and estate plan at the same time? Is that all discussed when they come in and sit down with us?
Yeah. So first and foremost, it's a getting all the chips on the table first, right? We want to know the entire landscape of the client's circumstances, personal, family, and business. And then we decide, how we're going to chip away at it, right? And the most important thing to do, first off, is to get an estate plan in place, right? Is to get that estate plan in place, because then we can plan for the succession plan. The succession plan may take others' involvement in putting it together, so it's more complicated and takes a little bit more time and involvement from others. Mm-hmm. So, but we want to make sure we've got that estate plan in place first, because we just don't know when something's going to happen to us. Right. So we've got to have that first. Then we move on to the succession plan. And we always say, we know it's there. We know we got to do it, but let's don't confuse the issues. Right. So we keep those issues separate.
Okay. Got it. And another question, just because,
I'm used to it.
So what happens when, because the firm has an operating agreement, let's just say we have a business owner that has, an operating agreement. What happens with their estate plan to contradict their operating agreement?
Well, it could require some redrafting, right?
What if it's too late?
If it's too late, it could lead to a dispute. And that's what we want to try to avoid. We want to try to avoid disputes. Again, our focus at our firm is avoiding disputes, keeping you out of this conflict, keeping you out of court. Prevention. Thank you. Keep you out of conflict, keep you out of court. So we want to look at both of those together, mm-hmm. and make sure that they are in sync. And if they aren't, then we want to revise them.
Right.
And not revising them can oftentimes create extremely expensive results. Why? Because it gets us into court. Sometimes it gets us into conflict, and we have to start paying people. We have to start paying other professionals a lot more than you would to simply restate your plan, mm-hmm. Or to adjust your business agreements. Yeah.
That sounds messy.
Yeah. Can be.
Well, and thinking it from a family standpoint, right? If the business pieces aren't done right, it's going to, and like you as, well, not you as the business owner, but you are the business owner, but a business owner, and they're in this conflict, or they die, or they become incapacitated, that affects their entire family.
Right.
And they could be left out with nothing, right? So it's why both pieces have to be done correctly, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want, just in the case of, I have two friends, or I have a friend that she and her sister no longer speak,
Yeah.
Because their mother had a business. One of the daughters worked with the mother, the other one didn't, and there was no succession plan in place. And so they're still to this day, and she's been gone years, and they're still not speaking to each other because the mother didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And the daughter that thought was working there, that she had the rights to everything.
Right.
So that's just one thing that I remember coming in encounter with, especially from business owners. Medical, we'll have that. That's another conversation, which we'll probably touch on quite a bit. But
what you're talking about is unintended consequences.
Right, because she didn't plan it. She didn't mean to leave them in a lurch and leave them, no longer speaking to each other, and not just them not speaking to each other, but cousins not speaking to each other, right? I mean, even their kids don't even talk because they can't. And it's awful. I just hate that. I hate that.
Yeah, there's a ripple effect that affects many, many layers, or can affect many layers of family, can affect many layers of business. So it's something you have to plan for.
Yeah.
It's a conversation you have to have.
Yeah.
So, who should be in the room with a professional when their estate plan is being done? We get that question a lot too. Who else should we involve in addition to you, Douglas, or your firm? Well, we need to be talking to your partners. We need to be talking to, and sometimes that's best for you, coming from you. We need to be talking to your CPAs. We need to be talking to your insurance professionals. We need to be talking to your financial planners. These are all the people that we work with. And it's odd because there are some firms, there are some lawyers and other professionals that I just mentioned that don't like working with other professionals. I just don't get it. It's almost crazy. It's almost like there's a turf war going on. And when you hold the client's interest paramount to all others, we should all be on the same page working together. And so that's what we try to do. And a lot of professionals look at us kind of cross-eyed, but when we explain it like that, I think they finally get it. They do get it. And then we're all on the same page, and it's a holistic plan for the business owner and the family. So works out nicely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, thank you for joining us at the Bar with the Chandlers. We look forward to seeing you soon.
If you have any ideas or things you'd like for us to discuss, comment and let us know. We'll happily take care of them.